So, welcome back to another Messages of Divine Love series. And this is for the week of December 20th. And so, last week, I was not able to complete this assignment whatsoever. I tried doing the reading twice. I lost videos. I lost the text. I even lost a couple of the cards. So, it was not meant to be last week. And it took me a while to be okay with that because it was also my birthday week. And I was having some difficulty with some interpersonal stuff. So, you know what? The universe actually kind of had my back on that one and was trying to give me a gift by saying, no, you don't have to do this week because you've got a lot on your plate already. So, Messages of Divine Love is a weekly tarot reading that I've been doing and sharing. First, it started on my Patreon, and then it's kind of grown, and I post it in several different ways in several different places because I feel like it's very important for me to be able to share, number one, my really big heart that I have for humanity. I really want to be able to be a person who puts out hope for humanity, but is also willing to speak some very difficult truths sometimes. And so the best way for me to do that has been through tarot because I can connect with images and put you into my world and help you see through my eyes a little bit about what is happening in the rest of the world and what is happening with the patterns that we see in our own lives. So that's the point of this reading that I share with others. Messages from our guides, from Mother Earth, from invited ancestors and our future selves, and then Mother Mary kind of wrapping it all in a big hug. And each week I choose a different deck. So this week we have the Light Seers Tarot, and I love this one by Chris Ann. It's just a really beautiful deck and very expressive and very diverse too. And I love kind of the social justice imagery that I get off of this. And so it's always a really good deck. It loves to volunteer itself for these weekly readings. And it's interesting because a lot of the themes that have been coming up for me since the eclipse have revolved around the idea of the Ten of Swords, and the Ten of Swords makes an appearance this week too. So spoilers, but that's our journey right now since the eclipse has been about letting go and finally just admitting we're wrong, admitting that we're hanging on to something that doesn't serve us, and we really just have to be able to let it go now. So to start us off this week, we have the Eight of Swords. And the Eight of Swords reversed is showing us where we are starting, right? So here you see a woman looking into a mirror and she's bound and tied and threatened. But the reality is what it's showing us is that she's the one actually in control of that image. She's the one who's projecting that image onto what she's looking at. That is what she's seeing herself as. And so this is about not just like some people will say, you know, you're stuck in your victimhood or whatever, but there are really legitimate trauma-informed reasons why that is happening and why in the chemistry of the brain that happens to us. But what this is reminding us is that no matter what we are facing, we are in control of how we can perceive the situation and how we can respond to the situation. And we don't always have to see our worst in the mirror. We can always see something better for ourselves. And our guides this week are coming in with this beautiful wisdom from the Three of Pentacles. And the Three of Pentacles is showing a father teaching his children how to weave this beautiful thing. But what you see here is that it's not perfect. There are imperfections here. This is about the process of learning. This is about the process of mastery. And so our guides are assuring us that mistakes are going to happen. And it's okay because that's the process of creating. It's messy. And there's a lot of, experimentation and, fall down 11 times, get up 12 type of thing. And so that is the process. So they want us to be able to lean into the process and recognize that sometimes it's the imperfections that make something special and unique and valuable. And so that's an important lesson for us from our guides. And they're really just trying to encourage us to continue creating. So I'm feeling particularly called out this week by Mother Earth. She's coming at us with the Queen of Pentacles. And here, the image that just keeps coming to me is, the obsessive, like last minute shopping and the really poor retail decisions that we make because we are feeling insecure that we haven't bought enough for someone, or gosh, we forgot this person or that person, and we don't really think it through. Our panic and our insecurity and that lack that that frankly the commercialization has kind of created in us then creates this kind of all-consuming culture. Does that do anything for our relationship with Mother Earth? Oh, hell no, because it creates more waste. We're using more gas running around, and we're panicked. We're not actually sitting into ourselves in the present moment. So what she's telling us this week is to really look at that relationship and how out of order and dysfunctional it really is. So an ongoing theme since the eclipse has been the Ten of Swords showing up in pretty much every reading that I've done in some shape or form since the eclipse. Well, today is no exception because that is how our ancestors are talking to us today. And the Ten of Swords, in some decks, some folks will say it's the Ruin card or the Disaster card. But here, what I see it as is I see it as the you need to let it go card. This is the painful truth card. And that painful truth is usually the moment where we have to make the decision to let it go, to forgive ourselves, to forgive, the world or whatever is haunting us. We are going to have to be able to let it go so that we can move forward with our lives, so that we can move forward with our hearts and healing our hearts. Healing can't happen if we're constantly hanging on to, all of those old images of who we used to be. So our future selves this week are talking to us through the Five of Wands. And I have tried recording this like 8 times already because there's so much that I actually want to say about this. So I'm just going to take the time to say it. Number one, the Five of Wands is about pointless competition. It is about sort of winning for winning's sake, or at least when it's like this, because there's no coordination, there's no cooperation, there's no building each other up, there is no building something better for all of humanity. That's just exploiting the structures in order to win for our own sake and win for our own ego's sake. And so really what this card is talking about is sort of that race to the bottom. Like, what are we actually doing here? Are we actually like reaching toward the things that we need, or are we pulling ourselves further and further and further into this abyss of competitiveness? So our future selves are literally telling us that we're kind of racing to the bottom here. And it's almost like a metaphor for the mining that is happening, whether it's in the crypto world, whether it's in our physical world. I have posted some things in the past about how I'm really reducing not buying crystals that much because so much of that crystal mining to meet the demand is actually destroying our earth. And likewise, cryptocurrency and that mining and the energy it takes to do that is also not really working well for us right now either. And so when I look at what our ancestors are telling us, it is very much like, you please avoid this thing. We've done this thing. We've been there, done that, tried that. It didn't work for us. And so it's time to let that go. There is no more like winning for winning's sake. That is costing us. It's hurting us. And so Mother Mary, like I said, comes in with this really big hug to kind of wrap it all together. And what she's telling us is the Seven of Cups. She is the bridge between this and this, our past and our future. And so she is basically saying it is up to us. We have the choice of where we put our energy. We have the choice in the beliefs that we hang on to. We have a choice in how we view ourselves. We have a choice in whether we accept our mistakes. And we have a choice as to whether or not we do some impulsive shit in order to make ourselves feel better in this consumerist, hyper-competitive culture. To me, this all kind of makes some sense together, and I think it's a really beautiful and powerful message for this holiday season, as so many of us are celebrating with our families and having to choose to let go of some things too. So I always pull two cards, one from the bottom and one from the top to kind of sum up the reading. One is the undercurrent, and that is the Two of Pentacles here. And she's all about balance and about balancing our earthly responsibilities with the spiritual quest that we have and avoiding that spiritual bypassing, because we have to be in our present physical bodies and we have to be tending to our present physical needs and the needs of those around us in order to be able to find that balance. But we also have the Knight of Cups here as the final advice and overall of the cards, and he's about wearing his heart on his sleeve. He is willing to risk it all for love. And so if the universe is telling us that we need to let go of things, leaning into his hopeless romantic energy and having that loving surrender to the universe is really the energy that we can use right now to help us find that balance so that we let go of the things we really don't need anymore. So the winter solstice is a really important time for me. It's so close to my birthday, and so I use that as a time of meditation and reviewing my year and setting my intentions for the coming year on a larger scale. And so as such, I'm going to be taking some time off. I'm on vacation now from today until the 28th. I'm going to be opening up slots for readings again on the 29th, and that includes some in-person readings and Reiki that I do in Littleton, Colorado. So if you are wanting to have a divine love reading for you exactly like this, that is available for $35 if you book through the 31st. And so you can go to my bio. There's a link in my bio about all of that. So hopefully we will be able to work together in the coming year. And I'm going to be offering some specials on year ahead readings. I'm going to be offering those for $75, and that is using the entire tarot deck. So I'm really looking forward to using some of this time off to regroup, to figure out my next steps for the coming year, because all the losses that I've had this year have definitely taken me off path from what I thought I was going to be doing this time last year. So I think that's just a lesson for all of us to just be flexible and understanding with ourselves, to be generous when we speak of our boundaries. So we maybe need to set our boundaries a little further out than we might normally, but to also be generous with our talent when we do decide to share. So that's just my parting gift to you for the holidays. I hope you have a beautiful, wonderful Yule, Christmas, celebration, whatever you celebrate. I hope that you are able to find light in this season of darkness, and I hope that you are able to find friendship and warmth and love.